Well, hello everybody, it is Dan, your friendly fishmonger from dansfish.com, and today I'm going to do a quick around the world fish tour, Fishroom tour, and show you everything that I have. So I'm working on making nice little species profile videos for each of the fish I have in stock, for all the new fish that I imported from Nigeria, for all the stuff coming in. But that takes a little while to put together, so that'll be a few days coming together. So in the meantime, I thought I would tide you over with a quick and dirty Fishroom tour. So no editing, no special lighting, probably a ton of glare. So sit back, get comfy, because I've got a lot of tanks. This is going to take a little while, although I'll move it along so it doesn't get super boring. So speaking of moving it along, here we go. So when you first walk into my fish room, here's what you see. I'm standing at the door. To the right, all these tanks. Here's the display tanks, and then the fish room goes on back and behind there. So let's start at the display tank. This sucker is looking awesome. Look at these rainbow fish. Like, how fantastic is that? They're sparring and spawning constantly. They're super happy. It took a year to get them up to this size and up to this color. They're now full adults and they are colored up constantly and acting awesome. So I'm really pleased with these fish. Now I had in here some Melanotania, what were they, Parkinsoni. I moved those out, and what's in here now is Melanotania trifasciata. And I finally think that in this tank I have the color scheme that I like. The trifasciata contrasted with those Odessa barbs, which are awesome. And then to contrast that, just some nice light colored angelfish, which were great in here. And then on here there's a few Siamese algae eaters. I have 3 of them just to keep the algae down. They do a great job. I scrub the algae off the front of the tank, but that's it. They keep the algae pretty well off all these plants and things in here. They do a great job. And then, oh, and by the way, thanks again 54 Punchy for all these plants. She gave them to me for free, very generous, and so I want to thank you for that. On the bottom are a bunch of skunk Quarries, and that one just went away. Here's a bunch of them. And that's important because they keep the sand kind of stirred up a bit, so you don't get a bunch of gross stuff growing on the sand, and they keep the sand kind of cleaned out. So I never vacuum the bottom of this tank. I have never, since I put the fish in here, cleaned this sand, and the Quarries do a good job. And a couple roseline barbs in here just because, I don't know, I thought they'd be kind of fun in here. Here's Stubby. He's got a funky nose. Came that way. I've had him for about a year, and he's healthy and he's growing and he's, you know, being a normal fish. He's just got a funky pug face, so something going on there. So anyway, that's the display tank. Underneath it, it's this is a 100-gallon tank down here. It's empty. I had some guppies in here just to cycle it, or keep it cycled, I suppose. I took them out yesterday because I'm expecting more fish today. So there's just some scuds in here right now that I put in yesterday to kind of get on top of this algae that's starting to grow a little bit. I put sand in here because I was going to get a bunch of geophagus last week to put in here, but they did not arrive. So still a bunch of sand, no geophagus. But this is just a big empty tank waiting for some fish. So let's start here. This is when you first come in the fish room. This is what you see. So this is a big empty tank, 75-gallon aquarium. Just some swordtails and Quarries in here to keep it alive. Some nice Julie Corys. I really like these Corydoras trifasciatus. They're fun fish. Below them, we have a whole bunch of Poropanchax Myers Eye, tiny little lamp-eye killifish, bright, bright blue eyes, settled in, doing great. These guys stay, you know, if they get an inch, that's big. They're a small fish, small little lamp-eye. Their main feature is this bright blue glowing eye that you can see across the room, which I don't know if it's picking up on camera or not, but when you look at them from across the room, it looks like a bunch of tiny little blue fireflies darting around. It's really kind of cool. Then on the bottom of that is just some more Corydoras trilineatus. I like this combination because any food that falls to the bottom, the Corys kind of clean up. And then I also feed the Corys specifically. I'll put sinking food in there just so they get enough. So don't worry about that, all you that are rushing to your computer to type a comment about Corys aren't just cleaners, they need food too. I know. But they do a great job keeping the bottom clean. And they're a peaceful, wonderful fish. Up here we have some more Corys, but mainly what we have in here is a bunch of Aphyosemium caliurum that came in from Nigeria. They're starting to color up. They're starting to act normal. When they first came in, they were clamped up terribly. Their fins are still recovering from ammonia burn a little bit, but they are lively, they're eating, they're gaining weight, they're growing. Their fins are much repaired from what they were at when I first got them in. So I'm really happy with how these are doing. Hardy little fish, really pretty as they're coloring up. The males get some amazing colors on them, and yeah, really happy with those. Down below them, some more Poropanchax Meyer's eye, or it might be Congo Panchax. I can never get Poropanchax and Congo Panchax straight. I can't remember who's who, but I believe that these are Poropanchax. Again, really doing well. I've gained a lot of weight since I got them in. Almost ready to sell. Early next week, in a couple days, I'll post them up on getgills.com for sale at the Dan's Fish Store. But again, like little bright glowing blue orbs, fireflies flashing around your tank. Really peaceful fish. Tend to stay at the surface, but also kind of swim mid-water. Especially if there's food, they'll go down to chase food, but then they like to come back up and hang out in these plants. So really neat kind of shoaling little killifish. On the bottom, Albino Corys. This is a group that breeds for me all the time, and you know, just again keeps the bottom clean and keeps the tank looking good and healthy. So love Corys on the bottom. These are a bunch of very young, they're maybe 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches on the big end perhaps, Madagascar rainbow fish. Only had them for a few days. They're settled in though, they're doing good. I can already tell these are going to be bulletproof. But again, I'll give them a few days before I sell them. I always take at least 2 weeks before I sell any fish that I get in. They've been through their kind of general cure regime, and I'm starting them on some antibiotics. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but just to clean stuff out. I just like to make sure before I send fish out to mix with other fish that I'm not sending anything bad. Normally I start with triple sulfa and then move on to general cure, but the other fish in the fish room were on the general cure round, and so when these came in, and so instead of getting mixed up on what was getting what, I just started them on general cure. So little variation from the normal quarantine procedure, but they're doing fine. It's not a problem. Anyway, small but starting to get their color, as you can see. Active, peaceful fish, just really unique. Not a true rainbow fish, but a very closely related species. So they have the honorary title of Madagascar rainbow fish. I've got lots of them that I'll be listing for sale soon. And then Albino Corys as well on the bottom. This is a bunch of rainbow fish. They are amazing. Hopefully they're showing up through the glare. I love the Parkinsoni. They look like flames in the water, like that irregular bright orange, yellow or red, whatever you want to call it, color of their caudal, dorsal, and anal fin. As they swim around, it kind of just looks like there's little fires swimming around in the water. Really beautiful fish, one of my favorites. And these guys are, I think about 3 inches, tip of the nose to end of the tail. Some of them might be about 4 inches. And then with them, about the same size, maybe about 4 inches or so, are these Irian red rainbows, which I like a lot as well. Really beautiful fish. On the bottom, Albino Corydoras. And you'll notice a theme on my tanks. I've usually got a bunch of water sprite floating on half the tank because that gives the fish cover, makes them feel good, and also sucks out nitrites and ammonia, helps keep the water clean. And then on the bottom, when I have enough of it, I'll put a clump of Java moss. So they've got a little bottom cover, little top cover, little middle area to swim. And fish really like that, especially when you're importing fish or transshipping fish or getting new fish in. The first few days, they really like to hang out here in kind of this dark, kind of more secure area. And then you know when they've settled in because they start coming out over here, depending on the species. Some species are just cover seekers all the time, but yeah. Okay, continuing down here. So in this 75-gallon aquarium, we have a whole bunch of my favorite Emperor Tetra. These are the Emperor Cory Tetra. These guys are small, I would say 3/4 of an inch, and they're already getting that nice blue purple, which I love about this species. And it's not just something that you only see in pictures. They truly have this brilliant blue purple sheen to them. Nice little fish, like them a lot. Get a couple inches. They're not a tiny little Tetra when they grow out. They're not massive, but they're not, they're much bigger than a neon. So when these get bigger, they're a good choice for, say, angelfish or other fish that sometimes eat your small little neon Tetras and stuff. Below them, I'm super excited about these. These are Aplicylus spolachin. So these have adapted to the same niche in Africa that like a live bearer would, say like a platy or a swordtail or a guppy or something. So very similarly behaved to something like a platy or a guppy. These are super peaceful. They're not at all aggressive like a molly or a swordtail can sometimes be. Super peaceful. Really bright orange glowing eyes. Again, these are a lamp eye species of killifish. These come out of Nigeria, and they're so hardy. Haven't had any problems with these guys. They're eating flaked, they're eating pellets, they're eating frozen, they're eating live, they eat everything. And the males, this is one problem with lamp eyes, is that most of their color comes from an iridescence, which just doesn't show up on camera. But the flanks of the males, the ones with the vertical dark stripes, they have on the front half of the fish this row of iridescent scales, which is a couple rows of iridescent scales, which is really pretty. It looks like pearling on them. And then they get lemon yellow on the fins, along with iridescent spots on the anal fin, which just are not going to show up on camera, unfortunately. But really neat fish, top out at about 2 inches, and super peaceful, wonderful little community fish. Bright, glowing orange eyes. Like them a lot. Up and over here, these are more of the Aphiosemium calliurum. I always want to say calurium, but that's not right. It's calliurum. Again, just another tank of these, settling in, doing nicely. The males are coloring up great. The females are getting fat. Their fins are healing. These are turning out to be some spectacular little killifish, and I am so excited to have them. So yeah, I think that's all that's in this tank. Down below, another group of Aplicylus spolachin. I've been looking for this fish since the 90s. So it only took 20 years or so, but finally got them in, so super excited to have these. And some swordtails that are a couple adults that I just couldn't catch, and then some babies that I left in there on purpose. When you get wild fish in, sometimes it helps to have a few little domesticated fish in there to kind of show them the ropes. This is how you eat. It's okay to be here. See how I'm swimming comfortably. You know, it just helps them settle in. So it's like the new kids at school have kids that have been at the school that show them around the school. You know, that introduce them to stuff, that kind of thing. So I frequently do that. So that's why you'll see mixed in with some of these wild fish I just got in, some domesticated fish that I've had for a long, long time. They aren't like, you know, freshly arrived fish that I don't know. They're fish that have been here forever. These are just some assorted male guppies. I had a customer that wanted a bunch of these, so I raised a bunch up and shipped him a bunch, and these are what's left over. They're just in here to keep the tank cycled. I will be posting assorted male guppies at dancefish.com or the dancefish store at getgills.com. I know that sounds confusing, but just go to dancefish.com. It'll take you where you need to go. But right now they're just in here to keep the tank cycled. And there's one Lonebeck 40s pencil fish, which I sold the group out of here of pencil fish that I had, and I didn't see him. He was hiding, so I didn't catch him. So it's a local purchase. The local high school gets stuff from me for their biology classes and stuff. So I will be taking this up there and being like, hey, there's a straggler. Down below that, here's the breeding colony. Let me turn off the fan here. Sorry, a little loud probably. So I have this little fan here just to keep the air circulating around the room. This is my breeding colony of Limia perugiae. They're a fantastic fish. I've had this colony going for a while. I think I'm 4th generation in, and they are hardy. By this 4th generation, they've adapted to my soft water, so I no longer have the issues of sensitivity I had with the wild fish adapting to my soft water. So they're doing absolutely wonderful. Now they'll do great in hard water. It's really easy to take a fish from soft water and put it into hard water. That's not a problem. The problem comes when you take a fish from hard water and put it in soft water, because it messes with their osmotic regulation. So if you have soft water, these will do great for you. At least I think. I mean, they're doing great for me. And if you have hard water, they'll do great for you. So Limia perugiae, an awesome wild type live bearer from Haiti or the Dominican Republic. I think these are from Haiti. Anyway, that's the colony. I only have unsexed juveniles for sale, like these guys. They're maybe about ½ an inch, because I have to keep my few adults so I get more babies, and I just sell them so fast that I can't diminish the breeders anymore, or I'll have a problem. So for now, that's the plan. Yeah, all right. So turning around, boom. So these are pretty fresh. These have only been here a few days. These are my favorite barb ever. They are the neon drape fin barb, Crenixes, or Crenix, I'm not even going to try, out of India. Now every time you get them, when you first get these guys, they always have worms. So they're on their internal medicine treatment regime right now. So as you can see, they're a little bit skinny, but we'll get them treated and fattened back up in no time. And they're hardy. I don't expect to lose them or anything. Never have problems with them. But when they first come in, they're always skinny, and you always see evidence of worms. So cleaning them up. Now they're not a fat fish to begin with. They're always kind of a skinny looking fish, but in about a week or two they'll be a lot fatter than they are now, because they're almost done with their treatment regime, and then the food that I feed them after that will get them all fattened up, because they won't have worms anymore. So this is my favorite barb though. They don't look it right now, but they have an amazing dorsal fin, and once they're settled in and happy and comfortable, if you have a group of them, and that's key, a group, then the males will unfurl that dorsal fin and display for other females, display for males, for they aren't vicious at all, but it's just they display to each other to say like, hey, check me out, I'm awesome. And they're gorgeous when they do that. And once they settle in and are comfortable, they do that frequently. So I love a tank full of these because they are truly stunning once they settle in. There's a lot of fish in this hobby that, okay, I'm not going to go on a rant. Just real quick, a lot of fish in this hobby that when you see them in a pet store or whatever, they look kind of washed out and stuff. And that's just because they're freshly arrived. They aren't in often great conditions, and so when their true colors come out though, a lot of these kind of bland looking fish turn into real stunners, and this is one of those species. So I'm going to keep some of these to breed, I'm looking forward to it. Dropping down below, this is a tank that has some Limia nigrifasciata in it, just to keep it kind of cycled while I'm between fish. It has four little ember tetras, not ember tetras, that are left from the several hundred that I had that I sold. And this is 2 males, 2 females, so I'm probably going to do a video here pretty soon about breeding these guys. On the bottom, Albino Corys, and then random sponge filter in here just to kind of get the sponge filter seasoned a bit, because I'm going to set up a few new tanks. That I have these tanks that I finally got repaired, and so now I'm going to set them up. And so that's one of the filters that'll go in there. In here right now is not a lot. This thing was totally choked with this algae, and I'm doing a video series on how I cleaned that up. Like, everywhere was that algae. Now there's just that bit on the back, but it was all over the sides. It was all over all these plant roots. The Java moss was totally choked with it. And so what I did is I put in these little guys. Hope you can see them. They're called Amphipods or scuds. They're kind of like related to shrimp a little bit, I guess. And they cleaned all that up. So this has been about 3 weeks they cleaned it all up. Something else that I put in here very recently, if I can find them, are some starlight plecos, which we're not going to see, but there's 3 of them in there that just got put in. And yeah, they're awesome. I got those from Mile High Plecos. Thanks, Mile High. But they're hiding, so not at this moment. Below them, these are the Tetras that I brought in from Nigeria. There's also some Limia nigrifasciata, the humpback Limia, in here to keep it cycled while the tank was waiting for them. And then down below that, some Corydoras to keep things cycled. What is this one? This is this is Malini, Corydoras Malini. Now, these guys are on a dark bottom, so right now they look kind of brown with a black stripe. If you put these on like a sandy substrate or a substrate that's light in color, then that kind of dirty brown on them lightens up, and then you get a real nice contrast between the black stripe and the light body. So kind of like a skunk Cory. Just in these black bottom tanks, they don't do that. They don't look as good, but they're still healthy and happy. It's just a color thing, depending on their background. But anyway, these are Nanocherex latifasciatus, I believe is the name. Neat little tetra from Nigeria. Never seen them before in the hobby. Don't know if we'll ever see them again. No one ever brings these in my experience. But neat little fish, kind of like little pencil fish. Some of them have quite a bit of red on them. They're small. My understanding is they're going to get quite a bit bigger than this, like a couple, 3 inches maybe. I have to kind of look into that, but I think they're going to get about 2 to 3 inches. And so I don't know how they're going to color out. I've never seen these before ever in person. Only a very few pictures, and there's almost no information on them. But seem like a peaceful little nice tetra so far. There's also a couple contaminants. This is Longipinus, if I can get it. I ordered a bunch of these and was shorted them, but a few came in as contaminants. Kind of like a Congo type tetra, kind of. Bryson longipinus. And then this mystery little fish that reminds me a lot of an American shiner species. Constantly swimming, very active. Don't know if it's going to do well or not. Don't know what it is, but there it is. So a couple neat little contaminants. Oh, and then a little African butterfly cichlid. That when it came in was just covered with an infection. It looked like it had cotton all over it. But we've treated that. Triple sulfa is an amazing antibiotic. That and clean water, a couple of rounds of general cure, and it's gone. So I'm pretty sure that it was the triple sulfa that got that infection cleared up. But I really didn't think that fish was going to live, that little cichlid there. But yeah, check it out. It's all cleared up and doing well. So that's that tank. Okay, got to move on. Bunch of, they call these ruby-faced koi angels. Basically, it's a koi angel. Some of them have some orange on the head area, so that's why they're called ruby head or ruby face or whatever. So really kind of nice koi angels. I like them a lot. Just came in, and I have noticed, if you look here, on those pectoral fins some white spots. So I think they have ick, yeah, just a little bit there. So they came in with that, and I just noticed it. So I'm going to start treating that. So I'll do a video on how I treat ick, and you guys will be able to see that. But it's not bad. It's not a problem unless you don't treat it. If you let that go, then the next generation of ick will just cover these guys because it will have multiplied so much, and by the time that happens, it's hard to treat. So I'm going to get on it, and I'll show you how to treat ick and get these guys cleaned up. Again, these just came in. So all right, down below that is the colony. This is my big breeding colony of Limia nigrofasciata, the humpback Limia, and these are awesome. I sell them so quickly that I don't have any large males with humpbacks, so they're too young to have that right now. But they are an awesome fish and beautiful, and again, they just sell so fast. I just have trouble keeping breeders in here. So right now all I'm selling are kind of these littler guys. They're not fresh fry. They're about 1/2 inch. They've got a little bulk to them. Let me see. Here's a nice group of them. And so they do really well in shipping because they're young enough, but they're old enough that they have, you know, substantial body mass to take the time without food and all that. So they do really well at that size. So this is what I'll be sending you if you order them right now. If I ever get enough adults, I'll sell adults again, but again, they sell so fast that doesn't happen much. Although I do have a ton of just males. So if you want adult males, you know, these young adult males, they're about 1 inch or so, maybe 1.25 inches, some of them, then I can definitely send you a big group of those. That's not a problem. But if you want to breed them, I don't have enough adult females to sell. All right, next row. This is an empty tank almost. It just has some young adult Wapoga Redlaser Rainbows in there just to kind of keep it cycled. These are ones that I raised up myself, spawned myself. Took several months to get them this size, but they finally kind of sexed out. Right now I have them listed as, what, unsexed juveniles, but I'm going to change that because they're actually sexed out now. There's a male with the red on the tail, and there's several females in there too. So they aren't fully colored or anything yet, but they're colored enough that I can sex them. So they're gonna be changed shortly, but just a few of those in there to keep that tank cycled. This is a really cool fish that I've been waiting for literally decades. This is, which one is this? This is Congo Panchax, I believe. It might be Poro Panchax, but I think this one's Congo Panchax. Lexophthalmus. Beautiful killifish, awesome lampi, bright kind of grass green colored glowing eye on these guys, which probably isn't showing up on camera. Lampis don't show well on camera. But then the males also get these kind of brilliant green iridescence on the lateral line and the bottom half of the body, across the bottom of the body. They're called, the common name, if there is one, for these is kind of like the green neon lampi, you know, but killifish go by their scientific names usually. So Lexophthalmus is the species, as far as I can tell. These are doing awesome. They're not eating flakes or pellets really well yet, but they're eating frozen and live just fine, and they're picking at the flakes and pellets. So it's just a matter of time before they kind of eat it with vigor, and as soon as they do, I'll list them. I won't list them until they're eating prepared foods well, because I want them to do well for you. So, but again, it's probably not showing on camera, but a lot of really pretty iridescent green on these guys, and the eye is awesome. And neat fin shape too on the males. They have some neat extended dorsal fins and yellow on the tail fin and the dorsal fin and anal fin and stuff. They're a neat little fish. Good, peaceful community fish. Planted tank, they do awesome. They're kind of the same niche as like a pseudomugil rainbow, like a Fricata or a Gertrude or an Ivan Staffi or a Conii, something like that. Up here, just a tank with some guppies in it to keep it cycled until I get more fish in, and a few random, oh, they just ran, Aplochilus dei up in the plants that I just haven't managed to catch out yet. a neat little surface dwelling killifish from Sri Lanka. Down here, just some tequila sunrise guppies to keep the tank cycled till I get more fish in. And of course, since they're guppies, there are babies everywhere. These are super old breeders. I'm kind of surprised they're still going. Like, this is like definitely the rest home for these guppies. But they're doing great. Yeah, they're doing great, and they're still breeding, which surprises the heck out of me. They're old. Anyway, more Wapoga red lasers that I kept in here just to keep the tank cycled, and then a whole bunch of what I think now are Epiplades sexfasciatus. At first I thought that they were Epiplades grami, but I'm not quite sure yet. I've got to get a couple experts' opinions on them, but the grami have like a grass green colored eye, and these guys have a dark eye, although there is a grass green kind of glowing dot on the bottom of the eye, so it's a little confusing. This is my Gimpy rainbow fish. It's a Wapoga Redlaser Rainbow. It was born like that, and I raised it up, and it lived. It has no swim bladder, and it has a crooked spine. So when I feed this tank, I always go into the corner and drop some food for this one specifically, and so far it's still alive, which amazes me. I'm just trying to give it a little life until it doesn't go anymore. But funky fish, but it's kind of become my little friend. But these guys are awesome, these Epiplades, whatever they are, and I'll have a pretty firm ID by the time I start listing them for sale in a couple days. But they're doing fantastic. I can't complain about them at all. They're rock solid, super hardy, did great. I think they're beautiful. And the males they have a really cool extended anal fin, and in the bright light it washes out, but when they kind of go down into this area, let's see if I can find one that's showing it. I don't know if you can see it, but they get some nice blue color, some purples on them, and some yellows and things. They actually become a pretty cool looking fish. Although even when they're up here, I just think that those stripes are awesome on them. Good for a surface dwelling aquarium. It's hard to find a lot of surface dwelling species that are interesting. I mean, you have hatchet fish and some others, but these are great for the surface area. They will go down, as you can see, but they kind of tend to hang out mostly at the top. So, great surface fish. Okay, turning around. This is mostly Aphyosemium calliarum, although there are some stray Epiplades that were in the bag. But let's see if we can find some here. Here's kind of a group of them. Just more of the same, just like the other tanks of Aphyosemium calliarum. So, yep, let's move on. More of the Epiplades. We won't pause here very long just because you've already seen them. On the bottom, Corydoras trilineatus, or the Julie Cory, and somewhere in here is a Hypsilebius, a big old South American annual killifish male. He's beautiful, but he's not out right now. Bare tank, waiting for new fish, just scuds in there, and a random fork from when I fed them some zucchini the other day. Scuds love zucchini. Right now they're demolishing some celery that I blanched, and it's kind of down to just the celery fibers now. They've eaten most of it, but they're in here to keep the tank cycled and keep it algae free until the new fish arrive. This is a breeding colony, breeding colony of Wapoga Redlaser Rainbow fish. There's the original breeders in there, the bigger ones, and then a bunch of juveniles that have grown up in the tank, which doesn't usually happen much with rainbows. They predate their fry a lot, but in this tank, a few of them managed to survive, and we got a little colony growing up, so that's kind of fun. Down below, empty tank with scuds, cycling, feeding fork, waiting for fish. Again, I was going to put, in this one, I was going to put some Paratilapia gumthri, which is like a geophagus, but from Nigeria. It's kind of a sand sifting feeder. So I put some sand in there for them, but they didn't arrive. So now I've got A couple tanks with sand in them, and no geophagus or paratilapia. Repairing these tanks, repairing that tank. So these are a bunch of assorted kind of guppies, I guess. These all come out of the Santa Maria project. These are from fairly early on when they were breeding less true. So what these are is a beautiful tank full of tequila guppy times Santa Maria fish. So pretty awesome, stunning patterns, stunning colors. I'll be selling these as like assorted, I don't know, Endler guppies or something like that. Whole bunch of swordtails. We have koi swords, we have tricolored koi swords, and we have some lyre-tail swords in here. More random guppy Endler project things just to keep the tank cycled and going until I get other fish in there, which will be soon. Down here, can you see them? Bunch of glass cats. They're doing much better. Once we got them in here and got them, you know, some meds in them and stuff, then they did really well. They came in really shaky, but it's been a couple weeks almost, and they've settled in. They've started eating frozen brine shrimp and frozen bloodworts with regularity. Up till then I had to give them live foods. They are picking at flakes and pellets, but it's going to be a little while before they are really solid on those. So these aren't going to be ready to sell for a little longer, but an amazing schooling fish, constant activity, really good in a group, in a tank. I mean, constant activity, really unique. You can see right through these suckers between, you know, a couple dark stripes that go from the head to the tail. But aside from that, they're pretty much a clear glass catfish. You'll often see the Asian cats in stores. Those are frequently there. These are the African species. Totally different genus, totally different fish, just convergent evolution. Or is it divergent? I can't ever remember. These guys have 8 whiskers, whereas the Asian catfish only have, I think, 2, maybe 4, can't remember. But they're doing well. It's just going to take a little longer because I don't sell fish until they're, you know, fully accustomed to aquarium life. So that means eating flakes and pellets. Until every now and then there's a species that thwarts me, like gobies will do that. You know, I often don't get gobies eating flakes and pellets, so I just make sure to list that they're only eating, you know, live and frozen if I sell them. But I'm hopeful that these guys will start eating flakes and pellets, because they kind of are. They just aren't doing it with gusto yet. Anyway, awesome fish. More random guppies just to keep a tank cycled, with a few Aplochilus dei in there that, yeah, just to keep the tank kind of going. These Aplochilus dei can be so hard to catch that every now and then I just give up and I'm like, okay, you can just live there. you're not hurting anything. There's one. Oh, it just went away. Down below, these are the Pelvic Chromis that I brought in from Nigeria. I ordered Taeniatus. What I think I got is Pelvic Chromis Sacramonte, which is okay with me because these are super cool. These they look kind of like a Crubensis, but as you can tell, they're quite different. There's a lot more red. They're a lot bigger than a crib. And there's other differences as well, but I just think that they're stunning. I'm so pleased to have them. So at first I was a little disappointed because I was expecting Taeniatus, but then when these kind of settled in and stuff, I was like, oh, never mind, these are just fine. Above them, some rice fish that I've had forever just to keep the tank cycled between imports and to kind of show the new fish how it's done. In here, a colony of clown barbs. These are amazing, super colorful, great personality. They'll interact with you. They'll come nibble on my hand when I'm feeding them. They are, I don't know, I think they're awesome fish. The biggest one in here is about 5 inches. The smallest one is about, 3 maybe. So, awesome fish. in a group of these in a tank is just amazing. They're bright red fins. I think one reason that they aren't as maybe popular is usually when you see pictures of these guys, go ahead and Google clown barb. Just take a second and Google clown barb. You're going to see a bunch of washed out fish with these clear fins that are stressed out. Just give them a little while to settle in and they turn into these beauties. Lots of personality. Not too big, 4 or 5 inches. So good in like a 55 on up. You could get a group in there. And just, I think they're fantastic. I love these guys. I think they're great. I think they're an unsung hero that when you see them in a pet store, they just look like a brown fish with clear fins and a couple of dark spots. So just, if you see them available, get some and let them settle in and they'll be great. Also, some guppies, just to keep the tank cycled and stuff. This was actually an accident. I put a bunch of tiny little guppies in here just because I had nowhere to put them. And I was like, well, the barbs will enjoy them as a snack. Well, they didn't. They grew up in there. And so as you can see, they're not an aggressive barb. They're doing fine with guppies. So they aren't aggressive. They're quick to the food. So they might outcompete other fish for food, but they don't pick on them. This tank here, my favorite of the platies. This is the yellow neon calico platy. Bright metallic sheen, iridescence on the entire fish, bright yellow, contrasted with stark black. It's just a beautiful contrast fish. A lot of them have a lot of orange and red on them as well, kind of towards the tail. So my favorite platy ever, on top of my favorite loach. Well, of the botilla type loaches. I like hill stream loaches and some others quite a bit too, but these are zebra loaches, peaceful, top out at about 4 inches so they don't crowd your tank, and super peaceful. They're not like a skunk botilla or a lot of the other species that are aggressive to other fish. These guys are peaceful, beautiful, and don't get too big. What more could you want from a loach? This fish is one that I'm super excited to have. I've had these only once in my life before. These are Procatopus similis. I forget the location, but I have it written down somewhere. And they're starting to color up. The males are this, it's not going to show, but they're these beautiful iridescent blue on them. And then the fins have quite a bit of color on the males too. And it's starting to come in, these oranges and reds and things. So I don't know if any of this is showing up on camera, but I promise you they're a beautiful fish. They're just a type of fish that the color is not captured well in pics and videos because most of it's iridescence. But it's truly colorful. It's not just shiny. It's like, it's nice colors. So this is my favorite lampi. I just think they're stunning. They're hardy. Haven't lost one. I mean, they're super hardy. These are tanks with mostly live food cultures that I keep going. I use these tanks to raise fry, so I'll take a batch of fry and throw them in there. They grow up with the live food and they grow super fast. Or I'll just use them to culture live food so that I have it to feed my fish. Or, so look at all of them demolishing that celery. Or sometimes when I run out of room, I'll put a species here. So this is a breeding colony of Aplochilus dei. There's so many plants in there they'll be hard to see. Here's there was a female. There's a bunch of females and one male in there right now. I keep the males and females separate, and then every now and then I throw a male in there to try to get eggs. Here's the last row. These are a contaminant that came in with the killifish. And could not figure out what these were. Turns out they're a mugill species, so they're a species of mullet. So they're really a saltwater fish that enters brackwater and freshwater very occasionally. But here they are. Now they're only about 1.25 inches, but these guys turn into like food-sized fish. Like you would go fishing and catch these guys. So they're going to become really big. super cool. They remind me of like a tuna. They're just super fast. They're silver. They're just silver fish. There's not a lot of color on them or anything, but they swim in a really unique way. I don't know what to do with these. If anybody wants these, just let me know and I'll send them to you for free. I would just ask that you pay the shipping cost. And I don't know how hardy they are. I don't know how well they ship. I don't know anything about them. But if you're willing to take the risk and just pay for the shipping, which won't be expensive. I could fit these probably in a box that would cost 15 to 20 bucks for shipping is my guess. Then I'll send them to you. And the reason is I have super soft water. And these are an ocean slash brackish, mostly kind of ocean, like you would catch these off the beach, right? Fish. I don't think they're going to last very well long term in my soft water. So I need to find a new home for them. If no one wants them, then, you know, I've got some local friends that have some, you know, big Oscars and other big fish that might be interested in a snack for their predators. So that's probably what's going to happen. Or if someone wants them, we'll try and see if we can't find a home for them. Up here is one of the male Aplochilus dei. So I keep the males in this tank, the females in the other tank, and then every now and then I'll move a male over so they spawn. Just more tanks with a bunch of live food in them. This is mostly snails and blackworms. This is mostly scuds. Okay, let's keep moving. We're almost done. I told you this would be a long one. In here is a trio of Aphyosemion australi, the gold form. And they're stunning. They're doing great. I have babies from them. Super happy. Love this fish. One of the old standbys in the killifish hobby. And you can see why. Here's a bunch of random female guppies from the from the Santa Maria, you know, breeding project. These are like, I think these are P1s and P2s, mostly P2s. I'm sorry, not P, F. These are mostly F2s. So I will be putting these in that big 100-gallon aquarium pretty soon here. Just to keep it cycled and stuff. I just moved them out temporarily to put the amphipods, the scuds, in there so that the scuds could clean up all the algae. That'll take a couple days, and then I'll put these back in there, but I wanted to get that algae cleaned out. This is a pair of Fundulopanchax gardneri P82. Gardneri are my favorite fish ever. Like, my favorite fish are killifish, and of all the killifish, gardneri are my absolute favorite. They're hardy, they're colorful, they're everything you could ask for in a fish. If you've never had killifish before, this is a good one to get. So are the calliurums. They're hardy and easy and prolific. Most of the tanks below are empty, with the exception of this trio. This is Fundulopanchax cinnamoensis. And yeah, just a breeding trio, 2 females and a male in there. Let's see if I can get a good shot of them. One of them's hanging up in the plants and I won't be able to get it for you. Here are some Aphyosemion striatum that I'm really trying to breed, but I don't know. The male's just, I don't know if there's something wrong with him. I think he's just maybe super old. He started to develop a little bit of a crook spine and stuff. So I've bred this fish many, many times, but this pair isn't doing it for me. But I thought I'd try one more time before I lost all hope. But they're still a beautiful fish. I'm happy to have them, but they're hiding in the mop right now. Beta rubra breeders that you won't see. 2 female dodrei, Xenotoca dodrei, that I got. Just kind of randomly obtained. They were in auction, no one was buying them. The bid got down so low, I was just like, well, I'll take them, I'll find a home for them. So I'll be listing those soon for someone that wants a couple dodroi females. I don't have a male, but they are pregnant, so you will end up with a colony eventually if you get those. More breeders of Beta rubra. Beta rubra male holding, Beta rubra male holding babies. So I don't know if we can see them. Babies are super tiny and kind of hard to see, but in here, if they're swimming into frame, are Aphyosemion australi orange babies and some Beta rubra babies growing up all together. Probably won't see them though. And here is another male Beta rubra holding. So live foods, a lot of fruit flies. And then back here is the variety of dry foods that I feed. So I kind of rotate through these. Cobalt flakes, Tetra crisps, PE mysis, my favorite pellet ever. Some kind of micro pellets for the smaller fish sometimes. Tetra color granules, disgusting cobalt shrimp pellets that are horrible. I only feed these to snails and stuff. Some fry food, really fine powdered golden pearls. These are the 5 to 50 microns to start rainbow fish fry and stuff. And then which one are these? I think these are the Sarah pellets. So those are kind of the dry foods I rotate through. Then I also do a lot of rapashi. And then I rotate fruit flies in with that. Micro worms. And then here's the brine shrimp cultures going. So that's kind of the live food section. Okay, last set of tanks. So these are 30-gallon breeders. These are a bunch of Beta rubra female adults, along with some males I'm growing up of the Santa Maria project. These are, I think, F3, maybe a couple young F4s in there growing out. I'm not using these as breeders yet, so I'm not really concerned about remembering which generation is which at this time for these ones. Below them is the breeder colony. So what this is a bunch of fry, and then I've rotated in a male Santa Maria that is pure Santa Maria that will breed with those, there he is, when they're old enough. So basically I get a batch of fry, then I take out the male, the adult females, put in a new male that's unrelated or less related. He'll breed with these when they grow up. Then I'll remove the males as they color out. And once these have dropped fry, I'll take everyone out except for the fry and put in another unrelated male that's pure Santa Maria. And that's how I'm kind of working the line. Below that, these on the bottom are just a bunch of live food cultures for now. I'll put fish in there if I ever run out of room anywhere else and need kind of space. Probably start some shrimp colonies too. These are a bunch of juvenile Beta rubra growing up, along with some rice fish. These guys with the blue eyes are Wawore species rice fish, or the Daisy's rice fish. And then there's also like one random Limia perugiae that I didn't catch out when I moved the perugiae out to make room for these. Here are a bunch of baby Albino Corydoras Aeneas growing out. I'm going to put the micro dragon gobies in here when they come later today. Another colony of the Santa Maria Endler project, doing well. Where is he? There he is. Oh man, he is so camera shy right now. Okay. This might be an exercise in futility. There he is. Then another colony of them as well. And then another colony of them as well. I mean, as you can tell, I'm dedicating serious space to these guys. I'm serious about this project. This is my favorite Endler ever. And I'm determined to get a good quality line that breeds true, established in the United States. So I'm working on that. Okay, work table, algae scrubber pads, zucchini, cucumber / whatever forks for plecos and scuds and stuff. And that's pretty much the fish room. Hang on, something funky happened on my screen here. I don't know what. Besides, you know, the office that's perpetually a mess. So that's the fish room round the world tour. I guess we're at almost an hour now, 54 minutes. So it's time to sign off. This has gone, the madness has gone on long enough. I hope that was informative. I hope I moved quickly enough and said enough interesting things that it seemed like a quick 55 minutes for you. If not, I apologize. This is a long one. But if I managed to pull it off, if you want to subscribe, if you want to like, if you want to share, all that stuff I'm supposed to say, then you know, it would be a privilege to have your subscription, your like, or your share. in the meantime, thanks for joining. If you made it this far, you're a hero. And I'm going to start doing species profile videos on all these fish, especially the fish from Nigeria, and get them up hopefully within a few days here. So until then, have a good one, and I'll see you around. Bye-bye.